Welcome to Awakenings Within.
So are you awake?
I'm awake. I'm playing some retro jazz for you.
Okay, I was wondering there because you sort of paused for a minute, like you
That's
were
'cause I
sort of like in suspended animation. So I was wondering if you fell asleep on me and you weren't really awake.
I'm awake. Do you
Okay,
hear
cool.
it? Can you hear the jazz?
No.
You can't?
Uh-uh.
Oh no. That's terrible. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh well.
Now I'm
I like jazz.
disappointed. Oh.
Yeah.
So hi, how are you? How's everybody? Hey Larry. Hi Larry.
Wow, at least one person came back
Hi,
to
Larry.
visit with us.
I know. I think we probably lost them all. You know, StreamYard changed some settings. So some people that are commenting on my Facebook are not showing up on the comments here, only if they're in Awakenings Within. So please, if you've joined us, jump on over to our Awakenings Within page to make your comments, because for some reason on my private page, it's not allowing me to see your comments.
Are you able to post a link in the comments section for people to know exactly where to go?
Where should they go? Let's see. So how are you? I haven't seen you in forever.
I know.
Let me
So
go.
I was
go find it.
You know, it's like, where have you been? What have you been doing? Have you stayed out of trouble? I was looking in the news to make sure that there were no Sandy arrests in Virginia.
No,
no,
I'm not that sketchy.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually pretty, I was pretty, I played grandma. So
well, I saw some pictures of you driving through Nashville. So then I thought maybe that's where you were headed. And then all of a sudden I see you popping up in Virginia. And then I see you with kids and the cutest little granddaughter. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yes, granddaughters.
Yeah.
Aww. It makes me feel old, though. I have to admit. I was like, my grandma. Well,
I know, but it is amazing the distances you'll drive to see your grandchildren.
Oh, we drove a distance. Yeah,
1,500 miles, I bet, huh?
Well, we drove straight back from Virginia to here. 22-hour drive.
Wow.
22 hours. It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. I told my son, I said, I'm not doing that again because it's dangerous. I mean, to do that, because we took turns sleeping and that kind of thing, but you still are tired. You're still road tired, know. And I got to drive through the snowy Tennessee mountains, which I don't mind because I've done it before. So, but it adds a little bit of excitement to your trip.
Yeah.
So how are you?
I lived out California for a few years and had to make the trip between Kansas City and LA a few times. And that's 1,500 miles and either 2 long days or 3 kind of short days. Well, I would do the typical take the no-dose, the caffeine, drink the coffee, whatever. Well, I had a situation where I had to be back in Kansas City and I had to drive by myself the whole trip straight through. And so anyways, I stopped along the way to grab some no-dose and they didn't have they had some other brand and I never read the label of what it was. I just assumed it was like no-dose and took 2 pills, right? And I'm telling you, I drove, I was wired, right? And it was so bad that when I got into Kansas City, I landed, I went to bed and I laid in bed and I was like zooming. Like it was, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't come out. And then I looked at what I had taken. I was only supposed to take 1.
Well,
that 1 pill was the same as 2 of the note, and I didn't read the label. So I was like seriously amped up.
It's not safe to do that.
No.
It just isn't. And I did the energy drinks.
Oh,
So
did you?
anyway, so mugs up. Do you have a mug?
Well, I have a
Mugs
Bubba.
up. A Bubba. Well, I'm drinking coffee tonight too.
Are you?
So
Are
yeah.
you still feeling the effects of the drive?
Yeah, a little bit. Little lagged. And then,
So you were asleep there for a second.
Yes, I was.
Yeah, like, suddenly just disappear. It's like, where did Sandy go? Well,
Okay, Larry said fired up. He's
Yeah.
fired up. Thanks, Larry. We appreciate you. We've lost our audience now that we weren't here. I knew that might happen.
I wondered about that. I don't know. You're the sort of the expert in this world. I'm just sort of the tag along. But I wondered about that. What happens
to get
when
some momentum
you
back?
don't do it every week? Do people just go away and not come back?
Well, they come back, but you gotta remind them. I came on.
You got to get out your little staff and kind of.
Well, earlier I came on about an hour ago and gave 12 tips to simplify your life.
Okay.
In inspiration, it's Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Mm-hmm.
He has this simplify, unclutter, just really helpful things. So I came on an hour ago to remind everyone that we would be on an hour, but I know that some of our viewers are on vacation. I know
that's true. In Florida,
they're on vacation. Yes, I know some of them are. Not all of them.
Sun and fun. While we're back here in cold and dreary.
Well, actually, most of them are in Florida because I guess Super Bowl or something isn't. And there's some kind of like Super Bowl or
some sort of
something like that.
I heard about that through the grapevine. There's like some event down there in Tampa.
We know some people in the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm excited. KC again. Yes, we're gonna. I hope they stomp them.
To be fair, or to throw my my sports experience into this, as powerful as the Chiefs are, they have a challenge, and the reason is it's really, really difficult to repeat. The energy level the second year isn't quite the same as the first year when you're really amped up, you know. So the Chiefs but I'm just saying the Chiefs are going to really have to step up and recognize the dynamics of what's going on and really put the pedal to the metal because it's challenging to repeat.
Well, when Mahomes
this is a very competitive league, When
Mahomes had to be on concussion, oof.
Yeah.
That was scary. I was like,
the biggest challenge, again, we're talking football here, but I think the biggest challenge that Mahomes is going to face is that his starting left tackle went down with a knee injury. And if you watched what the Tampa Bay did to the Packers, both of their ends are just terrific pass rushers. And to have a backup guy, the guy, that happened in Green Bay. They lost their starting left tackle, and that guy just could not keep up with the Tampa Bay rush. They're both their tackles couldn't deal with it. So, Rodgers was under pressure all night long. So, Mahomes is gonna, so I would suspect that what you're gonna see from the Chiefs is a lot of quick passes.
Yes.
What they call YAC, yards after catch.
Yeah.
So they're gonna, you're gonna put their speed guys short and let them run.
Right.
They've got the speed; they can do it. So it's just, the thing about football that's so fun is it's a strategy game. You know what I mean?
It is.
It's Andy Reid, and Eric Bieniemy's, offensive mind against this great Tampa defense, and who's going to play what and how, and
Well, all I have to say is I actually have some inspirational things to throw up here on that. Okay, so about hope.
Wait, is this about the game or
no? Well, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. That it's about hope.
I see.
They will soar. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. That's what we're praying.
Well, maybe we need to pray that for us, the fans. I mean, the Chiefs are in great shape. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's us that might faint from the pressure.
I know. The last time I was, and then I have this one. fill you all joy and peace in believing that you may abound in hope in the power of the Holy Spirit. So I'm going to be praying for them, for us. And
well, it's starting to ramp up. I was a little surprised because, you didn't see anything last week in terms of people wearing Chiefs regalia. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was like, I saw a couple cars with flags, like nothing. I'm like, wow, the city is so, low key about this. Like, is this old news now? Because last year at this time it was just pandemonium, right?
I saw
today
downtown.
I started seeing a few. I was at Walmart and they had somebody had Chief shoes on, and I started seeing a few uniforms, and
we're ready.
Thinking, okay, people are starting to get into it now. So Friday, Saturday, it'll be,
Yep. So go Chiefs.
Get the flags out.
Yeah.
And Sunday, everybody will be panic mode while we're, getting ready.
So what is going on in our world right now? What awakening within are we having besides the Chiefs?
No, everybody here in Kansas City is like checking out from the world this week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we
people
just
are going to use the Super Bowl as sort of an escapism from what's going on out there.
Right, but after that's over, then what?
Then we got to get back to reality.
Oops, there goes gravity. Back to reality.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time with family then the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
And that can be quite as you get older, it seems like that it can go one way or the other, right? It can be smooth sailing, peaceful, or it can be like roller coaster time. Just depends on what's going on. And I found that it was me that gauges that. Oh, I never recognized that until this last trip. That that the family is looking at me as the person who is going to key in on if it's going to be the roller coaster or if it's going to be peaceful.
I see.
They were kind of counting on me.
Uh-huh.
So I was upset one day about, silly little things. And then I recognized it. And the next day I said, let it go. Let it go. Just let it go. And as soon as I did that and I verbalized that to let things go, that these were not big deals, that I didn't have to force a will or tell my opinion or even verbalize maybe my emotions, that it was fine.
Well, there you go. Now, am I correct in this? But it's my perception that mothers sort of all have that dynamic in family life. But I didn't
even
in the most dysfunctional families, mom is always at the core of it. And dad is sort of like the moon, you know what I mean? He's like on the periphery, and mom's moods, mom's moments, mom's whatever state mom is in, everyone else then reacts off of that. Like she is always the catalyst.
Yes.
And everyone has to just sort of figure out. So moms have that's why I've always been intrigued by the statement that women aren't powerful. And I'm looking at family life. I'm like, really? I mean, in every family I've been in, mom rules. Like mom is, mom may not have the end, make the end decision, but when it comes to, that space, that sort of gets the period at the end of the sentence, but mom gets the sentence,
right. And see that, I mean, I recognize that during this trip for the first time.
Oh, really?
I've always, I don't know. It didn't dawn on me until I saw the way that, your adult children they're adults now. So it's totally different kind of relationship. You have to talk to them like adults. You can't talk, but I could have pressed a button and made them regress and go back into child and
Right.
mother kind of thing, right? So it was the first time I've recognized that I
Well,
had
I mean,
some
even
power in this, and then I needed to
yeah.
chill. Hmm.
Well, again, one of the real challenges for mothers is not to emasculate their boys, because
Right.
they have the power to do so,
Right.
and sometimes are not even aware that they're doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was, yeah, I have boys. I don't
Oh,
have
do you?
girls. I only have boys.
Okay.
So I saw how I could have pushed a button with the one son about the other son. And you know what I'm saying? Like I could have pushed some buttons and made
Sure.
some feelings happen or not happen, or and I was actually impressing on one of them some of my emotions at the moment.
Right.
And I saw that and I went, whoa, 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 backed it up. So
Well,
it
we
was the
males, I
first
mean, we have
time.
such conflicted emotions and relationships with our mothers, because on the one hand, they were our safe space. They were our, the place we knew that we were always loved, we were always protected, we were,
Right.
I mean, they were our happy place,
Yes.
and
Right.
so there's this deep emotional attachment that you have.
Yeah.
Then suddenly we get older and we're supposed to be men.
Right.
And
Where's
there's
the
this
transition?
weird state of adolescence, which is so tense as you're trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to be a man, and mom doesn't really want to let go of the little boy, and dad's telling you to be a man, and that's just such
Right.
a tug of war. And then
Right.
when you get to be an adult, you have way more confidence in your manhood, but mom still has this way,
Yes.
right? And I've
Oh,
talked
I
to
can
many
I can
guys
press
about
a
this. We
button.
call it the claw,
Yeah.
right? And you can
Well,
feel it when you go home, and suddenly mom
yeah.
decides she wants to control the situation, and she puts the claw in you, and you're just like, oh God,
Well, it doesn't, right.
it can be that way.
It can be that way.
Yeah.
And so I had to stay in my lane. Let's
Yeah,
just
there
put it
you
that
go.
way. I was like, okay, we're gonna stay in my adult mom lane
There you
versus my child mom lane, which who wants to control everything and make everything work this
right.
way and that way. I had to sit back and go, okay, and now an added layer of grandma. Okay,
Mhm,
now I'm a grandmother, and so I really have to stay in my lane because
mhm.
I uh, don't need to be giving parental advice, I guess.
Yep.
so so I'm not going to give any advice. I'm just going to say, give me the baby, let me hug on her, kiss on her,
So
and
the
play with
old
her.
phrase we talk about in our world, boundaries, right? And
Boundaries,
right,
yes.
boundaries.
I
And
stayed
so
in my boundaries.
learning
I
those,
did.
and I try to explain to people this, that every decade of your life is a complete reworking of who you are, because everything has a different perspective. Who you
Yes.
are, your relationship to your family, your relationship to people around you, everything shifts with every decade of your life.
Oh yeah.
And so there's a constant recalibration as to how you're going to relate to people.
Yeah.
And I think, I remember that phase with when my grandchildren all started coming in. It's like, okay, I got to shift. I'm not the parent here.
Right. It's not my place. It's not
Right.
even my place. Even
And so
I mean, I was
you,
told that,
well, exactly. But again, they're establishing boundaries,
which is fine.
which is
Right.
absolutely fine, because they're letting you
Right.
know it's my house, my
Right.
rules, my
Right.
perspective.
Right.
And we love you, mom, but
Right.
we
I'm
got
like,
our
just
own
give
way.
me the
And it's like,
baby,
okay,
let me bounce her and kiss on her and play with her, and then I'll
right.
put her down and you can go change her diaper.
So what I learned to do in my adjustment in that phase of my life is just to get to be the good guy.
Right. For
I
the
get
first
to come in
time.
and
For the
just
first time.
spoil, kiss, be
Yes.
awesome, and it's like that to this day. I'm awesome. I can do no wrong. Papa is like, he's just in the stratosphere, right? And I just keep
Right.
my nose out of everybody's business.
That's
If
right.
my kids ask me, I'll give them advice, but I don't ever cross that boundary unless
Right.
invited.
Right. Well,
Never.
there you go.
Right. And so everybody loves Papa.
That's
And I'm
awesome.
like, I'm happy with this. I got no responsibility.
Well, and that's and yes. And so I'm making some decisions on if I'm gonna make a move back to the East Coast or not. So
Mhm.
so if I gauged it on how I felt this last trip, it was a little bit of a roller coaster. So
Sure.
I'm in the air about it. So I'm just gonna let God, just gonna pray about it and let God help me to decide.
Well, absolutely. I mean, these,
Mhm.
we're
Yeah.
this is one of the dynamics of the moment.
Yeah.
I would posted something. I don't think it was this week. It might have been last week about what's happened to relationships through COVID
Oh, yeah.
and how much people have lost,
Oh, yeah.
and what's remained has been family, good
Yeah.
or bad.
Right.
It's we batten down the hatches and get in the boat with our family.
Right.
That's
That's
what I
right.
mean. That is the way we are wired as human beings. So it's
Yeah.
family and a few close friends, but just most everyone's lost. I would say lost, but they're distanced. The
Yeah.
distance between them and their, what do you call it, auxiliary friends, their peripheral friends, has
Yeah.
created a huge distance.
Yeah.
The lack of being able to go to church on Sundays done that.
Well, and I couldn't meet up with 2 or 3 friends because of COVID.
Yeah.
So I couldn't, it was either they were about to have surgery and they couldn't be around anybody, or they were exposed to COVID, or, so there were 3 different scenarios with COVID. So it changed who I was gonna see, what I was gonna do. Uh,
Well, and to lay our cards on the table, I mean, what we're all dealing with is loneliness. I
yeah.
mean, the lack of relationship creates a loneliness and emptiness in our souls. And the reason being was God created us to be relational, to be
Yeah.
in families, to be in communities. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how we are wired as human beings, and
We
we are in
are.
an unnatural state right now. And
Yeah.
we've got
Just think,
the
next.
government, and people in authority, in their, sort of, you know, they're so full of themselves, you know, and telling us all how we should
Yes.
behave. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I'm
But
curious.
what they're fighting is they're fighting human nature, and
Yeah.
what they're doing is they're creating a deep problem in our culture right now. And I don't
Yeah.
think they realize the psychology. I mean, we have friends on our show, people that work in the mental health world. I mean, you
Yes.
can't even get into a mental health hospital right now. They're jam
Yeah.
packed.
Yeah. And well, my sister brought up a good point a couple weeks ago. We were talking, and she's like, "Can you imagine my little 1-year-old granddaughter? She now sees people with masks. She doesn't know if they're smiling or not. She
Right.
doesn't have a clue. Is that a safe person? Not a safe person? You can't tell by the smile, or you
Right.
can't tell by their facial uh reactions or anything. So
I
that is
remember
going to
that,
change.
especially women,
Yeah.
we all read each other by our facial
Yes.
expressions,
And
right?
can you
We're
imagine?
all used to, even with strangers,
Yes.
interacting. And so we've all become focused on eyes now. Like we're trying
Yeah.
to read each other's eyes.
My sister said it in the grocery store. She goes, "I'm smiling under here," to whoever it was. I mean, it made me laugh so hard because she's like, "I'm smiling under here." I'm like,
You know what I mean?
my eyes smile, so I know that I have I can tell
Well,
by
I
their
wanted to
their
get a
wrinkles.
mask, but then I was afraid I'd look like the Joker on Batman or something with this, like, you know, huge teethy thing, like would scare all the kids. You know what I mean?
I know. I know. I mean, in your mask, I mean, now it's like, is that a scary looking mask? Is it a regular? I mean, and and the fashion of the mask right now, it's got to match your outfit, apparently.
Mm.
So that's what I've seen a lot. People are color matching
Yeah,
their
exactly. Color
masks. I'm like,
coordinating.
oh God, do I have to think of that too now? My mask matching. So I haven't really done that so much, but
Well, it's
it
just,
has changed our world. It
so what's
has.
interesting right now
Yeah.
is that, almost everything in our culture is polarizing, or it's pulling apart, and so
Oh,
you see
yeah.
that even with what we're talking about, right? On the one hand, our relationships with family have gotten tighter.
Yeah.
People have realized that, I don't have anyone else. I mean, this is, these are the people that are the most familiar. This is the safest place. And not everyone, because I mean, there are just some families that are so dysfunctional, but the vast majority of
Right.
people have all retreated within their clan, right?
Right.
But at the same time, they've lost contact with all kinds of other people. Now, not
Right.
maybe on social media, like
Right.
they're still informed, right?
Right.
They still have
Right.
information on what
Right.
people are doing, but they haven't touched them, hugged them, danced with them, ate
Right.
with them, had any sort of interaction, right? And so you feel those people drifting away.
Right. They're your acquaintance pool.
Yeah.
But interesting. Like yesterday, and I'll just bring this up because if you looked at my Facebook, you knew that I went somewhere and saw live music. So,
Right.
live music person, I like recording it, I like watching it, I like promoting it, etc. Because I'm a big I don't know, I'm one of those people that just loves music, and so I was out, going up there, and I asked my son, who lives in Little Rock. He actually came to Kansas City to visit, and he drove me up there, and he said he was getting a little upset with me because he wasn't sure that I would be safe because of
Mm,
COVID. So he was a little upset with me. Now he's,
right.
30. So he had to go and research to see, since I've already had COVID, was I immune to it? Could I still get it? Blah blah blah. So he had to look that all up while I was watching live
Well,
music.
so there's two ways to look at this.
Hmm.
On the one hand, it's like, great, I have my kid on my case. On the other hand, he loves you. He
Right.
cares about you.
Right.
He's motivated that mama might be in danger,
He's
so
in
he's like
danger.
trying to rescue you. So it's sort of
He's in
sweet too,
danger.
you know what I mean?
Yes, but I told him before I had already researched it
Uh-huh.
myself, to see, because they tell you got 90 days, your immune system, but are you shedding it? Can you re-get it? I mean, there's still, again, since I'm not an expert in COVID, still a year later, I still
Shock.
am not an expert. I'm sorry. I apologize, audience, but
Right.
I still don't have all the answers. I've looked at all the science and the facts, and a lot of it doesn't match up. So that tells me mm. Science used to make sense, but science doesn't make sense anymore. Not
I
sure
know.
why. I don't know where science went, but kind of
Remember
exited.
what was it, in March of last year? There was this whole thing about, what is that stuff? Hydrochlora, something or other.
Hi, yeah. Hi,
Hydrochlor, whatever,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And so there was all it was like, this could really help, and then, like, there was all this backlash and how dangerous it
Yes.
was, and the experts were all
It's an
warning
old
everyone,
anti-malaria
and then
drug,
suddenly,
right.
then they changed, they pulled the
They pulled
whole
it.
report
Yes.
that said it was bad off the shelves, and then quietly now people are going, well, actually, right? So we had that here. Well, in Zimbabwe, where I'm involved, they had a similar situation just happened, because what's strange there is they thought they'd all dodge COVID. Well, since New Year's, it's just ravished Zimbabwe. Like it suddenly hit like a year later delay. And
Oh.
it's been a crisis. They don't have anywhere near the hospitals and the medical
Oh
facilities
no.
to handle it. Well, it turns out there's a drug, and I can't even pronounce the name of it, but it's like Ivor something or other.
I Dres. Yeah,
Something.
I know what you're
Anyway,
talking about.
but
I
it's
know
a
what you're talking
common
about.
drug
Yes.
that they use with cattle. Like it's veterinary. Like they have
Right.
it like in huge abundance, right?
Right.
And these doctors months ago figured out if you mix this stuff with zinc, it just knocks COVID out, right? So they started using it like they did with that drug in the States. And suddenly the
Hydrochloroquine.
government
Mhm.
jumps on, goes, you can't do that. It's all dangerous. We have to wait for the shots. And I mean, it was a big hubbub. Well, then finally, a whole group of senior doctors in the country got together and go, no. I mean, we've been using this for years.
Right. Same with the
and
hydrochloroquine.
it works, right? Well, then
Right.
this week the government backs completely down because they don't actually, they're not going to get the vaccine for months, and people are dying.
So they need to do right.
Right. So it's,
Yeah.
I just find it's this whole, again, this polarization, this extreme sort of response to things, right?
Right.
Really,
It makes it does make you just go, okay,
well,
I don't
it's
what's really
the
going
word
on.
that keeps going through my mind is hysterical.
Right.
It's like there's a weird hysteria
Well,
that
no,
seems to hit our culture to where our reaction to things is so extreme.
Well, that's a goal. I mean, if we think about you're talking about the polarization, it's always going to come back to light and dark, right? So light and dark. I mean, it's just,
well, and
we
then
don't know the schemes that are
concept.
going on. We don't know. I mean, there are some schemes in the midst of that. You add one little bit of anxiety and fear. Once you have fear, I mean, fear is the basis of most people's coming undone, right? So if
still this weird, there's something that I,
there's still
and I
something.
don't understand, and it's this, is it, we have sort of descended into this worldview that it's either this or that.
Right.
That my perspective, if I'm right, that makes yours wrong, right?
Right.
And so it's this versus that. And
Right.
I'm trying to figure out, well, wait a minute. I mean, how many things in life are both and? Like I've traveled all over the world for 50 years. And I have seen every different thing under the sun and all kinds of different cultures. And there are so many different things that work. And so it's like what I keep asking myself is, why are we so afraid of that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, why is everything this versus that? I'm right, you're wrong.
Well,
why can't both things work?
Right. Cause that's not, and I'm thinking about the fear part.
Driving that? Is there an agenda behind this? Right. In other words, it's like, given the fact that both things are actually right, and yet you're being told that one is and one isn't,
right?
And you're like, well, what's driving this? That's the way my brain works. It's like, well, let's drill down. What's the motive? Why is there this versus that? Why are people needing to pose everything, this way?
Well, what's our root sin? I mean, what's the root sin that we have? Pride, and ego, and greed.
There's greed involved, and then you start
all of that.
Is there a reason behind this? What are and this is where people ask, like we were having a discussion the other day about conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a long discussion, right?
Now there's all this discussion in Washington about conspiracy theories.
Everything. There's everything.
And how people are so foolish to believe in conspiracy theories. And there's some truth in that. But here's the problem. The problem is time after time, we keep running into these situations where we discover that the things the experts told us that we were fools not to believe, they were wrong.
Right.
We have countless Hollywood movies that go back and tell us stories about things we didn't know that were hidden from the public.
Right.
right?
And that's why
it's like I tell
right.
people, I go, the reason why people are so prone to conspiracy theories is because we're not honest. Like the government isn't honest, you know, people aren't honest. There's secret agendas, and this stuff all comes out later. So people are just by nature become suspicious. So you can't tell people not to believe in conspiracy theories if you're constantly
well, that's where even just the name of our program, Awakenings Within, there is a reason that that's called that, is for discernment purposes. So you, in the midst of all of this, I still don't have, there's a little bit more that I know, but it's still not conclusive. And now that I've had COVID, okay, I wasn't fearful of it in the first place. So fear didn't disable me, you know, like fear didn't come in and scare me and give me anxiety and all of that. So I didn't allow that, because I kept saying, okay, God, you know, if I trust you, you know, that you're going to, you know, I trust you. So I got it. I didn't know what it was going to do to my body. I got through it. My immune system happened to kick in and work. And so therefore, my conclusion for myself only is that it wasn't as bad as I thought it could be. Right. And so I've survived it. My immune system, you know, I now have the antibodies or what have you. So that means, you know, I get to make a decision about vaccine or no vaccine. You know, I don't think I have to take it if I have the antibodies. Right. So that's how science is supposed to work in your body. But I'm already hearing a kickback about that. So again, somebody's like, oh, but that doesn't mean, and I'm like, it's funny, you know. Well, I did mean that.
You know, you've got 1 billion people in Africa, you know, and they're being told that things that are cheap, readily available, inexpensive, that have proven to work can't be used, and they're being told now they have to pay for shots that are coming from the West.
Right.
So, like, what do you expect these Africans to think that there's? It's like, of course they're going to think there's a conspiracy theory, because they look at it and go, wait a minute, I can fix this problem myself.
Right. So,
and now you all are telling me that you guys, you know, in America and Europe are all telling me, oh, no.
Right.
You have to have our shot. You see what I mean? So they create, this is my point, is they create the conspiracy theories. Like I listened to, and they're all blaming people. You know what I mean? These people in positions of influence are blaming the masses for their propensity towards conspiracy theory. And I'm looking at them going, well, you guys create the scenarios that cause people to think like that.
Right.
Like, they're understand what you're doing and how you're doing it and why people think this.
Well, in the beginning, it was mask or no mask. Oh, a mask works. No. Oh, no, it doesn't. Now it comes out, you need 2 masks. I'm like, what? What do you need 2 masks? Like,
well, and then, you know, the thing that you find out is Dr. Fauci and his whole there's a whole business side to Dr. Fauci. You know what I mean?
You mean like his wife?
So you're like, okay, well, the guy that's supposed to be, you know, giving us guidance actually has a slice of the pie. Like he's biased, right? And like, oh, wait a minute. So now again, why do you think that people think conspiracy theory? Well, if you put somebody who's making money because of the whole thing, you see what I mean?
Have you ever looked up his wife?
What?
Have you ever looked up his wife?
Oh yeah, it's another one. It's like, I know.
That's all I have to say to the audience. If you look up Dr. Fauci's wife, he has one.
No, but I'm just saying. You see,
look at who she's in.
Others.
Well, look at who employs her. Just by the way.
Yeah. Well, but that's true.
Y'all might want to look.
You know what? This is the you know, it's just, you know, we could get into, you know, all kinds of.
But that's what I mean. That's why we've never went there, because it's like
all this discussion. I was talking to somebody the other day about the whole, you know, Biden's son, and the whole computer
don't.
and the China and all that, and because people are wondering, like, why is that not going anywhere? Like, you know what I mean? It's like we have this thing here that's like so scandalous, and it's not going. And I try to explain to people, I go, do you not understand that on the left side and the right side of Washington, D.C., neither group actually wants this thing to go forward? And the reason is because they're all doing the same thing. They're all making tons of money on the side with, right? And it's not Democrat or Republican.
This is not how our government was supposed to go.
I mean, all of these guys make fortunes because of their positions of power in government, and lobbyists and the people that, right? But nobody really wants, it's like a can of worms. So you got everybody circling the wagons. So it's not a Democrat or Republican thing. It's a Washington, D.C. thing.
It's a gentleman's club.
Yes.
Period.
Exactly.
Oh, do you have the best scotch? Oh, do you have the best cigar? Okay, come here.
Right.
Okay. Just saying.
So it's, you see that this is one of the, and so what I have this saying that I try to remind people. I go, just so you understand, Republican and Democrat are actually two sides of the same coin.
Yes. Yes. Larry's still here. Larry, we thank you.
Very
look at what
coin.
Larry calls
and behind the scenes, out of the public eye, what goes on behind the scenes, if people knew, they would be disgusted.
Why? I don't see how they don't know. I guess I have a logical, I think logically, and I've always said that. I was like, doesn't matter, because it's all on the same
well, part of the problem is we're biased, right? And we tend to think, so again, it's this versus that. Our guys,
we like to vote for underdogs.
They're bad, and they don't realize that really, and I'll just lay my cards on the table. Really, what elections are is the facade that the people have power. Because what election is, it's two teams competing over the favor of the people. And whoever wins basically is in control of the money. So if your team gets in the White House, then all of your buddies and donors all get the government contracts. They have the inside track to all the deals, right? And they make fortunes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then then we throw those guys out, and our team goes in, and they do the same thing. And it's the same small 1% elite people.
Yep.
That just keep, it's a little good old boys club. So we saw this last week with this. Have you watched this whole thing with GameStop and the stock market, and these little guys came in there and absolutely turned the old guard, the old boys, the old stuffy guys that always win upside down. And they were so panicked, they shut down the whole thing to keep these guys out, right? Because the little guys figured out the system.
Yep. Yeah, I heard a lot about this.
They literally shut them down.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
Right?
Crazy.
So that they wouldn't lose, right? And so again, why do people get conspiracy theories? Well, you just saw it, right? When the little guy tried,
it's not a conspiracy if it's true.
Will step up and basically throw him out.
It's not a conspiracy if it's true.
Right. Exactly.
That's the problem. We can throw.
I'm saying this is why I get so tired of the elite constantly going, oh, conspiracy theories. I'm going, well, you guys create them by your behavior. You're corrupt.
Yeah. Your corruption.
And it's your actions.
Yeah. It's all corrupt. And true that Larry just said it too. It's all corrupt. Yeah, it is.
I'm both sides of the equation. That's why.
And that's why
I'm not into, I don't play for either side. I just find the whole thing disgusting. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's why that's where I keep trying to bring it back. And I explain to people, I go, the only hope, in my view, of salvaging America is to get reacquainted with the values, morals, and ethics of the kingdom of God.
Yeah. Kingdom of God
because
principles.
those morals, ethics, and
Yes.
values we became untethered from. In the 1960s, we decided to make some
Yes.
choices to untether ourselves from those things. And
Yes.
what's happened is that over 3 generations, we've completely reversed the whole cultural worldview from I exist for the good of the many to the many exist for me. We have become incessantly self-centered and narcissistic. And so the reason why we're so fragmented is when we approach everything, it's all about me and what I want. And so it's like a bunch of people all pulling, right? Trying to grab what they want. That's why we're fragmenting. I posted some stuff today about it, about we've lost the greater good. We don't see the big picture anymore, right?
We only
this sense of oneness based on something bigger than us. It's all about me.
Well, and we're not
militates against this.
Yeah, we're not trusting in any institution anymore of any sort. Like all institutions now have been deemed not credible. So, and that's the truth. I know it just from my friend group.
They're not serving my needs.
They're not serving the people. They're not.
Right.
They haven't been for quite some time, but they gave that, like you said, it was a facade of it, but it really was for self-serving. It really was to, pad some pockets with some money. And that's with any institution.
Agendas. It's all about me. I'm offended. I'm hurt. It's not fair. It's everyone's aggrieved, right? Everyone has an offense about something that's not being delivered for them, right? That is, I mean, if you want to stop and think this through, in the 1940s, our parents, 2 million men volunteered to sign up to go fight to defend their country. Yeah. They were willing to die,
lay down their life,
for family,
for this, right?
For the greater good, right?
Well,
they felt this sense of duty, right? That's what patriotism was. Patriotism was, I belong to a community. The community's in jeopardy. I am willing to lay down my life for the good of the whole. Yeah. That is completely, in 70 years, reversed.
Well, let me tell you what happened. I have to tell you a story on that. Okay. So I ordered from a place some lunch before I left, and the delivery didn't get there on time. It said it was delivered. It wasn't, now that we have, delivery stuff. So I call the store and I say, hey, it says that my delivery has already gotten here, but it hasn't. And the guy on the other side of the phone says, well, the delivery driver, he's new. He just, marked it as already being delivered, but it's not. And I said, okay, I know that. I said, so when will it be delivered? And he said, in 10 or 15 minutes. And I'm like, well, do you even know where it is? And he said, I don't know. I think and so I laughed. Do you know, he hung up on me. He goes, don't laugh at me, and hung up on me.
Wow.
And he hung up on me, and I called back and I said, are you the manager? And I said, was I just talking to you? He said, yes. And I said, are you the manager? He said, yes. And I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that, he hung up on me. I said, is that how, I apologize. Do you hear somebody knocking on my door? Hold, please. I have to open it, apparently, even though I told the people, sorry. Talk to the audience, Bob.
Okay. Well, while Sandy takes a time out and has to answer her door in the middle of the show. Like, who does that in the middle of the show? Anyways, I agree with you, Larry. I think that I think that the system has become rotten to the core. And but again, you know
Talk
what?
about being upset about my delivery. So what'd you tell them? What'd you tell the audience?
No, the audience of Larry, I was telling him I agreed with them. No, I see. I still, you know, and again, you know, we could, you know, people like to spend a lot of time, you know, arguing about Democrat or Republican or democracy or, you know, fascist. I mean, there's all, you know, we argue about systems and all that.
Right.
And I keep reminding people, I go, the issue isn't all of these, it's people. It's the human heart. I said, the problem isn't our politics. The problem is our people, right?
Yes.
I go, the problem. So here's the strength and weakness of democracy. The strength of it is one person can't dictate to the rest of us, right?
Right.
The downside of it is if the population, if the people within this democracy become self-centered, right? Democracy crumbles.
Right.
Right? Democracy, you know, is a mirror. It's a fruit. It's not a root. See, and people keep, you know, having all of these discussions about, you know, this, that, and everything else in our system and all that. And I go, no, it doesn't matter. Basically, every political system under the sun can all work if you deal with the issue of selfishness.
Right.
If you eliminate selfishness, right?
Right.
A principled king can, you know what I mean? A wise principled king, you know, as Proverbs talks about, can bring great blessing. Communism even works if you could deal with, you know, because there's all kinds of places in the world that are communal that work just fine because the people have all dealt with self-centeredness. So all these systems, they all work.
Yeah.
So what we have right now is a reflection of us. And that's the thing that I don't think people are really grasping is all the things you don't like right now are a reflection of us.
Right. Well, that's with my story. The guy hung up on me because he thought I laughed at him.
Yeah.
How am I laughing at you, dude? Like what? I mean, that was crazy. I sat there and I thought, okay, he's about this one age, so he thinks it's okay to hang up on a customer because he thinks he was offended by me laughing at him.
Right.
And I was like, wow. I was like, I have been in fast food for a long time. I said, haven't you ever heard the term, the customer is always right? I said, your delivery drivers who made the mistake. I'm calling you. I said, I called you and I laughed. I didn't call and yell. There's a difference between laughing and yelling. Right. And I'm like, but you're going to hang up on somebody that laughed? I mean, it would have been different if I would have called up and I was screaming at him, right? And or cussing or whatever. I laughed. I mean, that was it. And I thought, I cannot believe this. So,
well, that's another.
He goes, Yelp him, and I did, Larry. I did. I went on Yelp.
Characteristic of the moment we're in, which is thin skin, right? Because of the fact we're so self-centered. Right.
Right. Exactly. That's what made me think of it.
Is thin skin. We make everything about us. We make everything about our ego, our pride, right? Everything's about us. And you're like, it ain't about you, buddy. It was about me.
I was laughing because he said, well, I don't know, 10 or 15
He flipped it around and made it all about himself. Right?
I was like, whoa, dude.
That's such a great example of our culture because we do that.
Right.
We flip everything around to suddenly I'm the victim.
Well, guess what? I got a $10 gift card in the mail today.
Oh, wow.
By the way, from that place. And I'm being nice by not even naming what company it was because I have been because, you know, one bad apple doesn't make the whole, you know, I mean, it just, I said to him, I said, I did say one snarky thing. Just I said, you need to tighten it up. I said, I never would have
You
hung
want to
up on
hire
a
me as a
customer.
coach? I'll come in there and tighten it up for you.
I was like, you need to tighten it up.
It's a job opportunity for you, Sandy.
Well, and I said in the comments in the review, and then I emailed the company and I said, I can't imagine how he treats his employees if he hangs up on a customer for thinking that I laughed at him.
Right.
Can you imagine an employee laughing at him?
There was a movie a few years ago of a girl. She lived like in a trailer park or in a camper van or something. And she would like mail all these companies and complain about their products. Right. And they kept sending her free stuff. Like, I don't remember the name of it, but like her whole camper van thing was filled with just volumes of stuff of all these companies.
Wow.
And she never really bought any of them. She just would write them.
That's the thing. I mean, I just can't. I just couldn't believe it.
You could just make a whole living just by complaining in our culture.
Well, I complained and they sent me $10.
Oh, there you go.
A gift card. But
that's a one person meal there.
Well, that was nice of them. However, I would like them to retrain him instead. How about that? How about he not hang up on his customers for laughing? Exactly. Because I just went, oh, okay.
You brought up a phrase.
What's that?
That's old school. The customer is king.
Oh, customer service.
Right?
The customer is always right.
Because it's about what? Others. But in this present sort of worldview that so many people have, it's about me.
Oh,
you see in the business world all the time. I mean, if you talk to my consulting friends who are dealing in these massive corporations, it's the employees. I mean, it's just like, it's like,
dog eat dog.
I have never seen more babies.
Well, it's a dog eat dog
because they're like, everyone's spoiled little brats.
Yeah.
It's like, suck it up, guys.
Well, I think I'm at that age group, and don't get me, audience, but I think I'm at that age group where I might have an issue. I'm probably going to have to be self-employed because I'll have an issue with a guy like that being my boss. Like that's not going to happen.
Well, I got to tell you a funny story, and then we got to wrap it up here.
Yeah, we do, because my
friend was the president of a division of one of the two largest banks in the world, overseas banks. Old school guy, right? And he calls me on the phone one day and he goes, "What's up with these millennials?" I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Yes, you know what I got to do now every morning?" I go, "What's that?" He goes, "I got to bring the whole bank staff in and ask them how they're all feeling this morning." And he goes, "Who cares how they feel? They got it right." And I was laughing. I go, "Johannes, you are so old school." But it was this shift, you know what I mean? This whole generational shift, because he grew up in a world nobody cared how you felt.
And guess whose fault it is?
Your job was, whatever they told you to do, and you didn't complain about it, right?
Guess whose fault it is?
Yeah,
ours.
Yeah. So he just was like mind-boggling. Like he had to go through this, because I had to go through weeks of training to be like a babysitter suddenly. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? How, you get
sensitivity training. Yes. Sensitivity training. That's the new thing.
I know. So
I don't think I would do so.
So bringing this full circle around to your comments about your family and your kids, one of the biggest tensions in family dynamics is generational. You know what I mean? How your kids see the world and how you see the world. And it's a struggle. I mean, you and I had it with our parents, you know what I mean? And it was just like, they had a just completely different take on things. And so you had these colliding worldviews.
My parents are the 60s. So my parents are actually more of they want everything to be fair and
my mom was born in 1920. My parents were born
mine were in the 40s. Yeah. So later 40s. So they're 50, 60 kids. So
they were raising their families in the 50s.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine are later. So
you're so young.
So they're so
You're such
so
a baby, Sandy.
so they were like they weren't hippies though. They weren't hip. The both of them were. My dad was a police officer and my mom was in banking as well. But they believed in fairness. They believe in
Well, one
fairness.
of the things
Everything's
that
fair.
I had a conversation with a millennial the other day whose dad was in the military, and they just said, yeah, even with my own generation, I sort of feel on the outside because it's like, I did, we didn't get, how do we feel? I was like, get out there, do push-ups, sit-ups, what do you mean? Suck it up. You like,
Well, yeah, I married,
I
right.
get
I
around my
married
friends
somebody
and
like
everybody's
that.
moaning and complaining and they're all victims. And I'm
Yeah.
like, huh. He goes, that's even foreign to me.
Well, see, I married a guy who was in the Navy and then he came from a family of 12. So it was suck it up and you have 10 brothers, so you better hurry up and eat your food or else you'll get nothing.
Survival of the fittest, right?
Right. So he had a whole different.
Oh, let's wait for so and so.
Oh no.
Nobody cared if so and so didn't get in.
Too bad.
Too bad. I know. It's
You didn't get any food today.
All 11 have to stop and wait for the one.
Right. No, that didn't happen. So yeah, I mean, it's a whole different. It's really different. But my kids are in that, the fairness. They want everything fair. So
fair.
Okay.
Equal.
Well, all right. Well, I guess we better wrap it up. Thank you, Larry, for being our guest that kept on, kept in there with us. I appreciate
Loyal
it.
Larry. That's what I'm going to call him.
Loyal Larry.
Larry.
I hope he gets his star back. So, and I hope you guys join us next week. I know it's football time. I know, you guys just forgot. And it's okay. I'm gonna replay it
out there and round up the sheep.
Yep. Hit replay, right. Hashtag replay. So anyway, you guys, thank you. Thanks, Bob. And I'll see you Monday. See you Monday.
It is.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. See you later.
Yeah, the Jack Green is